Hey guys, welcome back to Destined with Destined, and we have three new test server heroes, and the first one I want to show off is Sythra. Sythra is a new ancient exclusive that I think has been announced to be coming next week, and she is pretty damn interesting. Her single target damage is unmatched, but it is very burst heavy. I want to go over whether or not she's a must pull, a really good pull, or a dud in this video, and we'll go over some things where I think she'll be useful. But first we gotta start with the kit. Sithra is a chaotic and piercer unit. She's a marksman and is supposed to excel in more single target areas. As you can see, single target piercing attack, defense penetration, and summons. She's also 15 cost, which is a bit more expensive than an average marksman. Normal marksman range, obviously piercer faction, she can get even further. And her stats are about 12,000 HP, which is high for a marksman, 4,300 attack, which isn't insane, but it is still pretty solid. The same defense and magic resistance. I don't know why it's like this. That looks so cursed. And then we have 15 cost. Like I said, attack interval is going to be about 2 seconds, which is normal for marksmen or piercers or whatever you want to call them. And then we have normal rage regen stats. Going into the kit, we have piercing damage once again. Talent. When a unit retreats, dies, or the hero's summon perishes in range, her attack increases by 15% for 10 seconds. Her next basic attack deals 200% damage and inflicts defense reduction on the target. If triggered when the hero's HP is below 60%, the duration is extended by 5 seconds. Instead of 10-second defense reduction, it's instead 15 seconds, and the attack increase is raised to 20% instead of 15%. So she stacks when summons or enemies perish, or your allies get retreated. So this will still proc in bosses, but it definitely does emphasize arena a little bit, and some very good debuffing with defense reduction if it's consistent. So we got that out of the way. Also, a side tangent with Ninja and Sithra and stuff, I think they're trying to start to release more heavy wave content where Sithra will be even more useful and Ninja will be even more useful because they're more for enemies coming in periodically rather than bosses. Just an observation, but of course we'll try her in bosses. The A1 deals 120% damage to one enemy, prioritizing airborne units. Then we get the first passive, continuously dealing damage to the same target, reduces attack interval by 5% up to 6 stacks. 30% less attack interval. This means she attacks quite a bit faster, and the effect disappears after she stops dealing damage for 6 seconds, then converts to restoring an additional 2% rage per second. So basically, if she's against bosses attacking over and over again, she's going to increase her attack speed. But if you're in more wave content like Arena, she's going to restore rage instead. Because you're not going to have enemies survive long enough to proc that attack interval reduction. So, more rage, which is actually really good. It allows her to be used in both boss and wave content, respectively, which is really, really cool. We have the second passive. Hero has 15% defense penetration on all abilities, which is insane. And for every one ally within 2 tiles, including herself, whose HP is below 70%, she gains an additional 5% defense penetration up to 3 stacks. So she can have a permanent 30% defense penetration. This is more for chaotic teams, which is still pretty cool, but just an observation there. We also have 15% more damage in Arena. And then the ultimate is really interesting. First of all, it's 700 initial cost, 700 cost, 500 initial cost, 1.5 seconds. Very, very fast. She places it, and it's done. And the way it works is she summons a Tormented Soul, which is this summon, as you can see on the screen. And this is just an archer that shoots super rapidly. He shoots 15 times, 240% damage each time. It's like she places down a machine gun turret that only works for 15 hits, and it goes and kills everything in range. Ridiculous amounts of single target damage, but once again, it's a burst. The Tormented Soul perishes after all shots are used, prioritizes airborne. The arrow gets a return count each time it hits a fallen target. Up to 3 can exist on the field. So you can build kind of landmines everywhere, and the second they get into range, it's gonna nuke everything, which is pretty damn cool. So that's her base kit. Obviously, she has Awakenings, Ancient exclusives, so we might not really be getting most of these Awakenings, but it's still worth talking about. Obviously, the A1, Torrented's Soul attack has a 10% chance to increase the number of shots by 1. Killing a target can increase it by 4 times. So a lot more attacks. It's going to be a very, very good A1 if you are going to use her. A3, when the talent is triggered, increases the hero's damage by 15%, with an additional 10% against elite and boss units. Sorry, I can't read very well right now. It's very late. But anyways, this lasts for 10 seconds. So just more damage. 25% against bosses is ridiculous. Or elites. So arena and guild bosses. Huge. A4, more penetration. A5, every 20 times the hero's basic attack does damage. It also triggers the talent effect, which is going to be basic attack. Triggers extra damage and inflicts defense reduction on target. Kit, very cool. We have a Spirit Siphon on. I will not be using any gems for this test, so you can get the gear a bit better. But as you can see, we have just Infernal Roar. Infernal Roar did seem to be better, even though the summon is a summon, which was weird. Tested it, that's what it came up with. So we have this right there. Those are the stats. And the first thing I want to show her off in is Arena. So here's a little bit of a modified single target team. We have replaced Sargak. And we're going to see how this goes. So we have a Valderon, obviously High Awakening. I do also have to say that test server has weird Arena. Arena is weaker than it is on global. So what you're going to see is a lot of things are going to die very fast. That's not how it's going to be one-to-one to global. This is, to my knowledge, the only thing on test server that is different explicitly, but it is still different. So keep that in mind, that the HP of these mobs, the damage that they do, is going to be less than what you guys are going to see. Keep that in mind. Anyways, we're going to start with Valderon. We're going to put Diao Chen. Simple start that is the meta right now. And then we can see what happens once we get Sythra. So we have replaced Sargak here. And there's a couple of pros and cons to that. Number one, Sythra is more expensive. Sargak would have already been out by now because he is 12 cost. Sythra is 15, which is still cheap, but it's still something worth mentioning. The other thing is Sythra is a burst DPS. So what that means is she's not exactly going to be good for long phases. But I'm going to explain why that's a good thing. So here we're going to use her ult immediately, and she's going to place down her little minion. As soon as anything gets into its range, bam, instantly dead. And this is only a small amount of the damage that it does. And you can see that she's already regenning her rage, and the minion's still down because it hasn't done its 15 shots. When awakened, it'll do more, but for now, it's 15. And what you'll see is, because it's still there, when the next one comes in, bam, instantly dead. So that's what Sythra does, okay? She puts the minion down, it one-shots everything that comes into its range, and then it disappears, and she no longer does that. Now, she is going to regen her rage very, very fast. Now, I should have Valderon ulted a while ago, my bad. But as you can see, that's how she works. And she's also going to lower her HP. She gets stronger when the HP gets lowered. All of the classic chaotic stuff. And one more thing I want to show you guys on this team, which is actually not going to be the final team I show you guys, is how Wukong and Sythra work. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Sythra ult now. You see the guy was about dead. If it wasn't dead, the minion would have killed it, reserved some of her shots. So if maybe you're struggling with using Wukong because the second to last enemy won't die, well, Sythra will nuke it and then also nuke the last one. And something else I want to show is the speed at which these guys get nuked is so much faster than Wukong, even at A5. Wukong, even at A5, can't even kill every mob, but in A0 with this, Sythra will nuke the mobs into oblivion faster than Wukong ever can. So not only is it more damage per shot, it's also, frankly, faster to shoot. You can see that we're dealing a ton of damage and it has already died. Okay? And it's going to stay if it hasn't done all of its shots. And now I'm going to try to only use Wukong ult. And you're going to see how fast the difference is. And then maybe I'll use them both at the same time afterwards. I don't think it really matters. I just want to show you guys that she is less of a Sargak replacement, in my opinion. Here, we're going to spam Wukong. You see, we got that startup. He does damage slower than she does, which is wild. But anyways, I think Sythra is more of a Wukong replacement than she's a Sargak replacement, because Sargak is for continuous damage between the rounds to reduce strain, and Sythra and Wukong are for nuking at the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait a little bit here. I'm going to use both Wukong and Sythra's ults. Here I'm going to set up the mine a little bit early. If it wants to finish that enemy off, it can. We're then going to use Wukong ult, and you're going to see which one hits faster. So you can see we've already chunked half of its HP with Sythra's little minion. It's a little hard to see, but Sythra's minion has almost gotten it to 1 HP before Wukong even starts. And Wukong didn't even get a single hit. That's insane. So that's where I think Sythra is going to shine. Not only does she make it so that you can actually kill multiple units in one, because Wukong's biggest issue is he's single target exclusively. When you're trying to kill the last enemy, your auto can mess up against higher BP, because Wukong will detonate on the 1 HP enemy that barely survived. Sythra doesn't have that issue, and not only that, she's even faster than Wukong is, and comes back at around the same frequency, which is insane. So Sythra is a Wukong replacement. Now let me put on the Sargak, and we'll see an actual chaotic comp that I think will be meta, potentially. This is the team that I had in mind. So going into this, I think that Sythra is going to enable a ton of single target potential. I don't think she's like the most game breaking, oh, if you don't have her, you can't even hit Overlord. I don't think she's that strong, but she definitely does Wukong's job a lot better, while also being a chaotic, which is cool. So here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put down Valderon. This is how every start is going to be. And then we have Ardea here. Ardea is there mostly because Sargak cannot really be placed very well. So you might notice that Diao-chan only covers a couple slots, and these two at the top are dead tiles. Because we're not using a healer, because we're focusing on our damage, try to insta-kill all the mobs, we cannot put platform units there. So we can put a platform unit up there, but Diao-chan doesn't cover, so we're not going to damage increase, which is a problem. So that's why we have Ardea, just so that we can actually get some damage increase going. It's pretty solid. Also, Sythra does get a little bit stronger, more defense penetration when low HP people are near her. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it right here with Ardea right now. Why the heck not? We could place her now, right? And we're going to ideally kill this guy pretty fast. Now, obviously the next round is going to be a little bit sketch, but that's fine. So you guys will obviously be able to figure out a better start or whatever. This is just a representation. This is not going to be, you know, the most meta team ever, right? That's something that'll happen once people have had more time to play with them. That round obviously will be changed up a little bit. Maybe Sargak will even be used outside of Diao-chan range. Whatever works, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to use Sythra as Wukong's replacement as soon as I can get her down. Right now, we're just going to kill everything pretty fast because we have our ults going. Ardea is just there to make the in-between rounds even easier. And now Sythra is down, and we're going to be able to insta-kill the last bit of every round instantly. So what we're going to do is we're going to let them kill this guy on their own. This guy, we're going to let them get him a little bit close. Then we're going to place down Sythra. If they do manage to survive, the clone will, or the summon, will insta-kill the guy. If not, it's going to insta-kill this guy and most of the next guy. You see how fast that is? What the heck? It's so silly. But either way, the lower her HP gets, stronger she'll get. So here, we can click Valderon, we can click Ardea. I should probably wait for them to be desynced, but whatever. Doesn't really matter there. And then as soon as Sythra comes up, we can click the alt as soon as possible, and we can insta-kill the next guy. You see what I mean? It's just kind of silly. It's not game-breaking. She's not the most important arena unit in the game or anything. But maybe, even not in a chaotic team, you could use her to mop up some of the rounds. Maybe you use her and you use Wukong. I don't know. It's up to you, right? Like, it's just pretty cool. So here, we're going to be able to click Sythra now. If we need to clean that guy up, it will, and then we clean up the next guy. And this is A0. A0 Sythra. No Malric stones at all. Nothing like that. No performance enhancers. It's just kind of funny. Also, keep in mind she's putting defense down and all of that stuff, which is pretty cool. Anyways, she's pretty solid in Arena. Once again, we're going to wait for a tiny bit of damage here, then we're going to click the alt. We can clear some of that, and now we can clear all of that. And that is how a single target team will look. Obviously, once again, Sargak in the top left might actually be better. Maybe you can figure out another option. Sithra was very late to be placed, and still did better than Ardea. So, that's Sythra, right? Good finisher. That's how I expect her to be used there. There's potentially some usefulness in anti-air or AoE, because you do want to finish the rounds as fast as possible. What you might notice is the ultimate is actually classified as AoE damage. Now, this also raises the question, I'll have to try it, but Matrix 1, the new guild boss, is something I can play now, but let's just say we don't have enough people to down APOC, so we can't. But anyways, we have this coming soon, and in the description we were sent, it says can only like focus on AoE damage. And physical AoE is kind of rare, so maybe she'll be meta here. I don't know. Just a hunch, obviously. Also, for anyone who's curious about the rewards, you get ancient hammer shards and stuff. Yeah. Moving on. Now we got GVG. Now, I don't fully expect her to be very good in GVG. I think that her kit's a little bit too inconsistent for that sort of thing. But I'm going to try a variety of different things, and we're going to see what happens. We're going to start with the Kirby's. I'm just going to go in 3 units. If they kill Brokir and last, then, I mean, it's not going to be ideal. And then I'll try like a Swarm or something, and we'll see what happens. I don't expect her to be great, is my assumption, but once again, I've been wrong before. Let's go into this and see what happens. So we're going to go in. If you know anything about Kirby's, maybe I'll make a video on Kirby attacks. Kirby's are insanely strong, otherwise known as the Grotesque Fiend. We're going to put the Abyssals, we're going to put the Kirby behind. It's just the best way to do it, in my experience. She's going to instantly kill 2 Abyssals, feed the Kirby. Kirby does not get hit at all by her. Then we're going to chunk a ton of damage because of Valderon, not because of her. And then we're going to chomp away Brokir's passive. All of the damage right now is from Valderon. Here he's going to get hit by like a mill. He's still going to live, sorry. And we almost just kill it with 1 Kirby. And the Kirbys are not BP'd to the max or anything. This is like pretty reasonable BP. So that's not ideal. Anyways, we're going to go in with another one. As you can see, the Kirby got chunked this time because he went ahead of everyone. But it's not going to make a big difference, right? Because he's just going to chomp Brokir. And that was 3 units. And I had tested beforehand, and only 1 Kirby is what it took. As you can see, Sythra does okay damage. Ymrit is single target. I mean, Ymrit is not single target. That's why his damage is lower. Valderon doing pretty much all of the damage. I don't think she's really going to be the biggest anti-Kirby type of thing. Her ult just comes back too slow when there's only 1 target in range to really make her effective. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to see how a swarm works. So this is going to be a very bad swarm. Okay, this is an example swarm. This is not meant to be very good, okay? I'm just going to see how much damage she does when hit with something like this. So we're going to go in like that. You know, we can put in Abyssals or something. I don't really think it matters too much. We could do like this. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We're not BP maxed to the highest amount that it could be. But there's some decent BP, you know. We're going to go in with this, and I'm just going to do Templars. It's probably going to get nuked because we have a lot of single target on this team. But I'm also not too sure because that freaking the freaking Kirby survived so long. So here we're going to put down the trap on the ground. Going to do almost 0 damage. Valderon's going to actually do damage. But like, I don't know, man. Freaking not very high. It's just Valderon doing everything. And for those of you guys who don't know, Valderon is not very good in GVG right now. He hasn't been in a while. So you can see against more AoE stuff, she's going to put it down. It's going to nuke 2, and that's her ult done. Good damage. Is it anything crazy? No, unfortunately not. Here, we're going to get more Necros out. Valderon's going to trigger her ult, or his ult, sorry. And then we're going to go in with the dogs, and I mean, hell, this is a terrible attack, but you can see how long things are living. I mean, hell, the dogs even get through. Like, with a modified swarm, this is swarmable. I really was expecting more out of her, if we're being honest. You can see she's doing around what Yumi's doing. Valderon is doing all the damage, which again, I don't think she'll be meta in GVG. You guys are welcome to prove me wrong. But in high-level GVG, I don't see her being used. I think Sargak is a lot better. Now, the final thing I want to try is a boss. So we're going to take it to Guild Boss. The final thing I want to do, like I just said, is Guild Boss. And obviously, we got to do Abyss. Now, I have to talk about why she's not going to be good in Abyss. And that is her team comp. Chaotix are really bad. I saw one person get 60k with Chaotix, and I saw one person get 60k with Piercers. It can be done. But it is suboptimal, and I don't think she's really going to fit in. Not only that, she barely gets her ult throughout a fight, and, you know, if there's not frequent enemies coming by. And I just don't think she's going to fit very well. But once again, I'm always okay with being proven wrong. We get about 1 magic shield here, as well as 2 physicals, so we're going to compare it. Here, we're going to do her first. Why the heck not? We could do Diao-chan, swap her. Then we do Kagiri, we do Wukong right here. We also have Draylin, just to make things a bit more consistent and easier to do. And then we have our Ingrid, we have our Yovar. It's so weird using Yovar. But yeah, here we're going to go in and we can see what happens. So I'm going to click Sythra ult. We're going to click Ingrid. We can click our Kagiri and our Wukong for a little bit of extra damage. And we can keep things going. I also forgot to click Yovar. That's fine. As you can see, Sithra is not built for the high damage requirements of Abyss. Now, don't get me wrong. She probably still works. You could probably use her if you would like. But I just don't think that she's going to provide enough to really justify. As you can see, ulting, doing less than Yovar. If you know anything about Yovar in areas like Abyss and boss content, Yovar is really bad compared to other units that are meta, like Wukong Kagiri, Moraiden. Hell, I mean, freaking Arrogance does more damage, right? Like, it's not abysmal, it's not terrible, but it's not exceptional. Is all I'm trying to say. It's not bad. It's not garbage, right? Like, it works. Obviously we're not going for any blood scores or anything. I'm just mostly here to see how much damage Sythra does, but even missing a Yovar ult, Yovar has done more damage, which is kind of funny. As you can see, Yovar Sythra duking it out at the bottom is not terrible. I mean, I'm not gonna overplay it and be like, oh my god, it's terrible, she sucks. But it's definitely not anything super exceptional, if we're being honest. I clicked her ult there just because I figured it might actually come back in time. But we can click Wukong Kagiri. We could waste them on the shield, it doesn't really matter too much. Then we can Yovar, and we can Sythra ult and get as much damage as we can. And as you can see, Yovar is blowing her out of the water. So obviously some shield damage is disappearing. That's just how it works. But yeah, it's Kagiri, Wukong. Wukong's doing less than he should. Yovar, Sythra, and then these two didn't get a chance in the magic field. I wouldn't use her for Abyss, but if she's what you have, obviously make do. So with that being said, what do I think of her? Well, she might be useful in Grade 3. I don't think she's going to be super meta in the higher stages. I think she's purely a single target arena unit. Very good in single target arena. I mean, an A0 Sythra, in my experience, what I have tested, does quite a bit better than an A5 Wukong. In specifically single target arena. So if you're struggling in single target arena, you're missing a Sargak, you're missing an Ardea, you're missing a Wukong, she might give you that flexibility to succeed. And she's, in my opinion, better than Wukong for that. You're going to be a little bit faster. And in single target, that's all you need, right? She's more consistent as well because she can hit multiple targets. and she's pretty cool. Also, maybe a little bit better at clearing the waves in between. I think she's a lot of fun. I don't think she's a must pull. She's not garbage or anything by any means, but unless something comes out where she's like super meta in an area, I don't think she's a must pull. And if you don't have the ancients, you don't need to pick her up exactly. But she's pretty solid, a decent addition to the pool. And with that being said, that is Sithra. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of her in the comments. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. And I'll see you all in the next one. Destined signing out.